Okay, we are live. It is my great pleasure to be with William Ramsey of William Ramsey Investigates YouTube and podcast. He's also written a fantastic book on the West Memphis Three called Abomination. I highly encourage you to read it. Welcome, William Ramsey.
Roberta, thanks for having me. Glad to be with you again.
Oh, you're also a lawyer. I forgot that.
I'm still a member of the state bar. They haven't kicked me out. I've passed the bar in 98, so it's been a while. Can't believe it. It's almost 30 years, 28 years.
Well, it's a handy thing to have for sure. So I thought I'd start up. The subject for today is, hey, Smelly Cat. Hello, Tabby, Tara, whoever else I missed. So I have my reader's copy that I got when I was working at Oprah. So this is like when the book was like new. And this is Damien Echols' book, Life After Death. This was published by, who published this? Was it Random House? It was like a big conglomerate. Do you remember by any chance? It was published by Penguin.
I do not.
Penguin.
I do have a copy.
So you have a copy too? So he says in this, so this is we're talking about Exhibit 500 today, which was an exhibit put together for the sentencing phase. So after Echols was convicted alongside Jason Baldwin, so they had their trial together and Jesse Misskelley had his trial alone. So they were convicted by two separate juries, Jason Baldwin and Echols together and Jesse Misskelley alone. So after Baldwin and Echols were convicted, his lawyers put together all his very troubling mental health history, 500 pages of it, and presented it to the court. Okay. So, but this is, as is Damien Echols is wont to do, it is his version in the book is plays a little fast and loose with the truth. So this is on, at least of the reader copy, page 253. He says, one loss came from Jason's attorney right away. The cornerstone of his defense strategy from the outset was to make me look guilty. His plan was to dump the weight of the entire case on me and say that Jason had been sucked into the situation only because of his proximity to me. To accomplish this goal, the attorney lied to Lori and me. He asked us to talk to a mitigator who he believed could be helpful. Was Lori even involved back then? Did he even meet Lori? This would be like 1994.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he'd met her yet, but okay.
I don't think so.
The attorney lied to Lori and me. He asked us to talk to a mitigator who he believed could be helpful in capital murder cases. A mitigator comes in after conviction and works to lessen the sentence, ideally to eliminate a death sentence. We agreed. So yeah, they make this. So this comes like way late in the book. So he's adding this in to make it seem like Exhibit 500 was part of their advocacy that just somehow went terribly wrong, instead of really part of the sentencing phase of the trial. We agreed. I spent a day talking to a woman who wove together a mental health report that came to be known as Exhibit 500. In it, she claimed I was schizophrenic, bipolar, and ending it all. Okay. And so, my words, not his, and suffered from extreme hallucinations and anything else you could think of. To this day, that report is still cited as the most damning piece of evidence against me. The woman who wrote it couldn't even testify in court because she already said in the past that she had lied on the witness stand in another case. To circumvent that little problem, she simply had another person file her report on me. That person's name is on that report to this day. Events like this honed Lori's skills, sharpened her claws, and turned her into the warrior she became. Without her strength and drive, I would have been dead long ago. Your thoughts?
It's interesting he doesn't mention her name or who's involved in that, and also that it was the defense that put together Exhibit 500. It wasn't the prosecution. So it's pretty telling. This is the affidavit. I think the person he's talking about is Glory Shuttles. Glory, she goes by Glory, but she had an affidavit in 2020. But she signed a lot of the documents. He signed the documents for his defense with her. Like, I have a signed document that he signed that, like, okay, you can go and get all my information. There was a company called Inquisitor Inc. I think it was headed by Ron Lax. It was played by Colin Firth in the really terrible Devil's Knot that came out in 2013, right around the time of this book, actually. But Eccles literally said it's okay to go ahead and get this information. All of his authority, he gave so much authority to these people. If you type on William and click on that and bring that up, I'll show it to you.
I'll show you the audience. The affidavit. I brought it up.
The other one, the other box.
The other one. Okay, hold on.
So you just say.
Give me a hot minute. Okay.
It's the other one. It says William.
Okay.
So this is it. So there's Echols and there's Glory Shuttles. It's June 16th. It's after the arrest. It's before the trial. So they're starting to gather information, but authority granted for educational, employment history, credit, financial, medical reports, et cetera, to copy and everything. So he signed on. He's 18, so he's able to cover himself. And so that's the provenance of this incredible 500-page report, which you can read, I think, still on Callahan 8K. So you can read it yourself. I cover a lot of it in my book, Abomination, Chapter 4, but it provides so much insight into him because it's from in the intro, actually, to the report itself has an overview of the report where it's saying, okay, he's in the hospital in Arkansas, then in Oregon, then back in Arkansas, and it has times and dates of everything. So it's kind of interesting that it's minimized. I think, it shouldn't be interesting, but it is minimized in that book, Life After Death. There's no question about it.
For sure. And you know, you can see the lawyer's notes on it going, this is not good. This is what he said to his mental health professionals is not good.
Right. Damning evidence. This is damning. Right. They're writing it in the
sucking
intro,
blood, and all the stuff. Also, all the stuff about Satanism. So let's get into some of it. So Damien arrested for breaking into a trailer with his 15-year-old girlfriend, Deanna Holcomb. They had an ending it all pact if they couldn't be together. Damien threatened to kill police officers and Deanna's father when picked up. Convicted of second-degree burglary and misconduct. So, I mean, you know, how did, you know, I keep getting comments, William, about how I'm so wrong and that if an ex-FBI profiler, and I think they mean John Douglas, I think they do, believes that the West Memphis Three are innocent because of his very insightful profiling, then I have no means, like it's sort of an appeal to authority. I have no leg to stand on if John Douglas has a difference in opinion than I do.
Well, what they should say, the response should be, how much did John Douglas get paid to work with the defense? Because he didn't work for him for free.
Well, right. He gets the most important thing, which is that what he really hangs his whole theory on the fact that they've never gotten in trouble with the law before. And they all three of them had gotten in trouble with the law before. And
his work on that book is a total fraud. I've totally taken it apart. It's a complete joke. That's the other thing is, if somebody says, well, John Douglas says it's appeal to expert authority, but he also worked on the John Bonet thing with the family. He also worked with the Ramsey family too, FYI. Mm-hmm. So there's some real problems in that case as well.
Right. But you could
read my taking apart of Douglas online. You could just say John Douglas and the West Memphis Three. The article is available. If you want to read and understand, you can just do that, or the listeners can.
Very few crimes are actually solved with profiling. Very few. Very few. They can be sometimes a little bit helpful, but it's, very, 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 very few of all the true crime cases. I think people like it because it's almost like fortune telling, I think it's a guy who's single, who's like this. And it maybe gives us another way to think about some of these crimes. But as far as accuracy, and actual real usefulness, I don't know, can be kind of controversial too. So
I think I actually put it as a later appendix on my book too, is that that whole thing that I wrote. It's FBI profiler John Douglas in the release of the West Memphis 3. I'll put it in the show notes so people can take a look at it. But I mean, he literally said, I saw nothing in the records indicated that they were violent. And
right.
he ignored the 6 confessions of Miss Kelly.
They all do.
He wrote this in a book. This is so important. Damien and Jason had no indicative violence in their past.
Right. I'm sorry. I thought it was a record. I'm sorry. I'm mischaracterizing it as a record. I thought he said they never got in trouble with the law.
That is a verbatim quote. That's verbatim. Okay. That's what Douglas wrote. And it's really easy because people defer to authority. They think the FBI's up and up, which if you know anything going on, it's really not. But it's okay. But Douglas is sus. He's super sus. And so is Lanning. He quotes Ken Lanning too, who's also very sus. But these are
he's the satanic denier, which is, you did the most interesting essay about the Lanning report. Yeah. I love that episode, William.
That
was fascinating.
These guys can be taken apart very easily. And his statement, this puts his the so-called expert. He said he denies Shane Devilbiss, who Echols tried to scratch his eyes out. Laura Maxwell said Echols threatened to kill her brother and her parents. Charter Hospital said he has a history of extreme physical aggression towards others. His own mother, she was most concerned about son not learning to deal with anger and rages. It's all through Exhibit 500. Echols admitted to hospital workers that he had a history of violence. West Memphis police charged him with terroristic threatening. Jennifer Lynn Ball said told police he went to her house and threatened to kill her. And Joe Bartusch, you saw Echols stomp a sick dog to death.
That's right. And he's related to Baldwin, right?
Bartusch?
Yeah, I thought
Sounds
so.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of odd that when people say, "Oh, that's someone who didn't like Echols," it's Baldwin's relative, I believe. Right. That's my memory of it.
It's a close thing. Even the Hollingsworth knew Dominique Tier since she was a baby. So West Memphis is not that big. It's really not, as far as everything, as population is concerned. So these people saw each other often and things like that. Echols was a known entity, at least in my opinion.
So here's from June. On the back of that, Charter Hill Hospital, Damien stated that he got a hold of a police officer's gun and that Deanna's father had acted aggressively. He, quote, "I would have blown him away, and the next time I will eliminate that person." So he had no trouble with committing murder. And he denies having a conscience. This is extremely important if you know anything about psychopaths or sociopaths, whatever word you want to use. I prefer the word psychopath. Denies having a conscience. That's the essence, the cliff notes for psychopaths. No conscience and a real lack of feeling. He's often described in these Exhibit 500 as having a flat affect, feeling nothing, hates the whole human race, hates children, and also is constantly, I thought was really interesting around issues of the witchcraft and Satanism. He'll say, well, I'm not a Satanist, but I am into demonology. So it's that same kind of cat and mouse with the language that he has played all through the West Memphis 3's PR propaganda offensive. So if you've just been following this in the past decade and a half, it's pretty much out there now that Damien admits that he's now into the occult. He may not call himself a Satanist, or I think now he's just started to deny it again with Dr. Drew while promoting his book on, some kind of, I think, esotericism. Excuse me. But that he's constantly doing this. He's like, I'm not into, I deny, I didn't put blood all over my face, but I did suck the blood from a bleeding fellow inmate. But they were exaggerating when they said that I smeared it all over my face, and that I get intense powers from witchcraft, and having power and control over people, and needing a lot of attention and needing to put fear in people is like a theme in this.
It sure is. I mean, it's all there. Once you read the documents, it's hard to kind of go back, because they're written by specialists. They're written in the kind of nomenclature of people who work at hospitals, psychiatrists, psychologists. So,
right.
and there's like progress reports. Like, he was doing progress reports all the way up to the day of the murders, May 5th, 1993. There's the last progress report, which isn't recorded very well in Exhibit 500, but it's there. It's incredible. So the same day, he was with his mom. The morning, I think, of when the murders took place, he was with his mom in there. And so...
I thought also what was interesting was a note from Jerry Driver, who Damien Echols dislikes so much. And, is this your... thanks, William. You're thinking of the West Memphis story.
Yeah, you can bring that up if
Jerry
you want.
Driver... Okay, hold on 1 second. I will. So Jerry Driver was saying that he thought that he has your theory on it, which is he thought that Damien Echols' mother was also a Satanist, and that was the family religion, essentially. That was his comment, that he thought that the family was into Satanism. I thought that was pretty. I didn't remember reading that, or paying attention to that before.
The police had a list of people they thought were in the kind of a group or something going on there in West Memphis. And the statement of Alvis Clemblay, like, he's like, oh yeah, there's a group. There's a guy named Lucifer they talked to that nobody ever identified. The same year that the murders took place in 1993, the mother was at a bonfire where somebody died.
I remember that.
Yeah. So that's like noted in the news. Like, so there's all kinds of other sus things going on. I think she lived with the person who died, lived with the mom and the stepdad or something.
But your comment was always that it's just awfully odd that she's supporting this interest and taking him to these occult bookstores and pushing him forward.
The people in the comments keep saying, I think they're guilty. They're you're not thinking about it the right way. They're objectively guilty at law. You don't have an opinion. It's not an opinion. They are stamped with a guilty plea, not once, but twice. So they're guilty. If you think they didn't do it, then you should say you didn't do it. Like, you're obfuscating, like, or messing up simple language. Like, they're
right.
Guilty.
They're literally paroled triple child killers.
Yeah.
Right.
They haven't overturned anything. Nothing. They were not exonerated. You think they were exonerated? You've been propagandized. You've been bamboozled. They were never exonerated.
To be fair to my audience, at any time that anyone's let out, the media and the wrongful conviction movement will call them exonerated. If they can get their foot by hook or by crook out of prison, get themselves out of prison, that's what it means to be exonerated. And what's even worse are these, like, exoneration. Have you ever heard of these? Like, these certificates they give them out to people who are, that they consider factually innocent. Those aren't worth the piece of paper that they're right. written on either. So, forgive me for yeah.
But you get the same statements over and over. Like, I think they're not guilty. I think they're guilty. They are guilty. I have the documents. They signed that they are guilty of first-degree murder, and the state had enough evidence to convict them again.
But William, do you think it could be like a thing, like you could identify as innocent even if you are a twice convicted triple child killer who pled guilty? Can he identify as innocent?
Yeah.
Is it sort of like, your pronouns, like his pronouns? He goes by innocent.
I'm convicted for a crime I didn't commit. I haven't found anybody else who's done it. I've alleged things, but I've never actually had somebody go into court or the police arrest and say it. I mean, the DA at the time, I mean, I think we played that in our last show about the West Memphis Three, literally said, I don't think it's anybody else who committed this crime than the three people here.
Right. You got to see the end of the actual PR conference they did after they took the Alfred plea. Baldwin decides to leave, and they just all pack up and go before any stronger questions can be asked. It like just abruptly ends really quickly, the whole PR thing. They're like, oh, Baldwin has to go. And you think they're going to stick around. And then just all of a sudden, this huge herd of lawyers and these three convicted child killers just exits out of there so quickly. It's
yeah.
Is there anything in here that you want me to particularly highlight?
Well, I mean,
John
you can
Douglas?
just go through it. They denied any occult involvement. I've gone through so many occult related crimes. Ricky Casso, Elise Pauler murder, Beast of Satan, Vampire Clan, Hardy Boys, Adolfo Costanzo. I mean, it goes on and on. So like, there's no occult motivation when it's all over, this crime.
Right.
But also one of the very important elements of and one of the confusing aspects that's really kind of bamboozled the public, they can't get their head around it, is that how can these people get their minds changed? Some people who the parents are associated with the victims change for their opinion. And John Douglas takes credit for it himself. I'm not writing this. This is in his book. It's in his book that he wrote with Olshaker. He literally said he traveled to west of Memphis in 2007 to interview family members. And he said that after he imparted his clear, he literally wrote, by the time I left, Pam no longer believed the West Memphis Three were guilty of the murder of her son. And the same with Byers. That's why you can see a picture. It is the most bizarre thing to see a picture of John Mark Byers, who was in at least two of the documentaries, who was accused of the crime by both Echols and Baldwin, with Echols hugging Echols. It will blow your mind. People cannot wrap their head around that. But it's the involvement of Douglas, in my opinion.
Right. And also, I mean, this is something the wrongful conviction movement loves to do. They love to go to eyewitnesses. They know the strength in getting a victim's family member behind them, and they will guilt the living crap out of you. And it probably was at that time not really comfortable for John Mark Byers to be harassed all the time by the West Memphis Three supporters. So what a way to get them off your back. And also, there have been rumors, obviously he's deceased now, but there were a lot of rumors that his financial situation increased. And I know Terry Hobbs has said that Pam Hobbs was offered a lot, but never given anything that she was offered, which is about typical for innocence fraudsters. They offer a lot, book deals, money, movie deals, all sorts of things, and rarely actually do what they said they were going to do. So
there was the money that suffused the West Memphis Three in the totality of the case corrupted the whole thing, in my opinion. And so there was all kinds of money and fame and celebrity, and some of those people would not do interviews unless you paid them. So it became kind of like a celebritized, like, cultural degradation thing. Like, wow, like you really need to get paid to give your side of the story. And it was weird because I talked to some of these people about being on shows, and I was like, oh, wow, so you do need money, or you want to get paid substantial, like $500, $1,000. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So Todd Wood is speaking of money, giving you some money, will you? I think that's on your
Todd.
channel.
Todd, welcome. Hey, Todd.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Okay. Thanks for supporting William's channel. Okay. What else do I have? I have lots of fun stuff here. Okay. Charter Hospital of Little Rock. He fantasizes about, this is June 1992, about being all powerful so as to block others from possessing the means to be belittling and harmful. He believes that only alert vigilance and vigorous counteraction can prevent the malice of others. The desire to gain power and demean others springs from animosity and a wish to vindicate past grievances. Although frequently unsuccessful in these aims, this teenager believes that past degradations may be undone by provoking fear and intimidation in others. So, I mean, people will say, I mean, there will be, if you're a West Memphis 3 supporter, no amount of evidence will ever be enough. There will always be some sort of unreasonable doubt. Maybe the police fed Jesse Misskelley all these post-conviction confessions. I don't know what the point of that would be, with his lawyer begging him not to confess and his hand on the Bible, but okay. What West Memphis 3 supporters will say is that none of this is evidence that he killed 3 kids. Correct. But it's evidence that he definitely would fit a profile of someone who would be quick to violence and might hurt 3 kids. No?
Right. Well, I think that's the thing. It's like John Douglas. There's no indicative violence when there's just a whole host of things, especially Exhibit 500, in addition to other statements and things. So
right. He's starting fires. He's trying to gouge out. Making his fingernails into points and trying to gouge out a classmate. You mentioned abuse to animals. I mean, these are all the red flags for violent psychopaths.
It's all there in the files, guys. Like, the lead up to the events is like all there. It's all written about. It's really something else. And some of these people are like, we didn't even know he was on disability. When they tried him, I don't think his defense attorneys knew that he was on disability. And there's a disability determination in the Exhibit 500.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what are you on disability? Like, what do you need to be on disability from? And I think his mom was on permanent disability. Like, I don't think she ever worked.
But what were his complaints? Where he said he was homicidal and he was a sociopath. Those are its own handwriting, own words. What more do you want?
He literally applied for disability in February 1993, and he claimed that his mental illness left him unable to work.
I know.
There's a supplemental interview in there where he writes, I am a sociopath. Describe your pain. Echols wrote, mentally disturbed. Describe any changes in these things since your condition began. I am a sociopath. Like, he literally writes this. I didn't write that. The Social Security Administration determined that Echols was 100% disabled due to mental impairments. He was provided the Million Adolescent Personality Inventory. The results were blunt. Fearing that others will dominate and possibly brutalize him, he puts forward a socially blunt and aggressive public posture. He fantasizes being all-powerful, so as to block others from possessing the means to be belittling and harmful. Often loses tempers, gets into fights, and acts in a daring fashion.
Right. Presenting problems. This is 1992. Homicidal and psychosis checked off. Okay. This is not like a little bout of depression. This isn't a blue kid. This is a very seriously disturbed, violent, scary, a kid whose own parents are afraid that he's going to hurt some of the children in the home and themselves. Either he's going to kill us or he's going to kill the kids in the home. And here we go. We'll move on to the next one. Charter Hospital of Little Rock. He discussed issues of power and control. He states that he could make things happen. He believes very much in magic. Is that spelled correctly, William?
I don't think so. I don't think the doctors knew what kind of magic Echols was talking about. Like the way he spelled it in his book, High Magic with a K, I think is more.
What's the difference between magic with a C and magic with a K?
Magic with a C is kind of like the Cat in the Hat magic, what you see like David Copperfield. And then this magic is kind of like the more occult, like ceremonial magic, where you are doing rituals and doing things in creation, like in conformance with your will, kind of like what Crowley would say. So I think he's an acknowledged member of the OTO. He's self-described as a Thelemite to OTO members. He actually had his own library, for people who don't know, in the OTO chapter in Arkansas. So.
That's right. Yeah, all those books,
Tons of books found at his neglected storage locker. He's constantly talking about books, reading books, going to the library by his own admission. Yeah, over and
over. I think that's it. Is that all? Is that
well,
all
you can bring up the Exhibit 500 if you want to go through some of the stuff.
Yes. Oh, wait.
You can see the outline.
He's had 3 psychiatric hospitalizations. Each has been associated with anger, thoughts of killing others, and thoughts of ending it all himself. Denies that this has influenced him, stating, "I just put it all inside." Describes this as more than just anger, like rage. Sometimes he does blow up. Relates this happens. The only solution is to hurt someone. I mean, I pointed that out to a West Memphis 3 supporter, and they were like, well, that doesn't mean he killed anyone. I mean, it's so frustrating, the gaslighting that you go through, you know?
Yeah, I do.
With these
I know
things,
it all
right?
too well. I've argued with every West Memphis 3 supporter. I've done it all. Like, it's like some of these people you're just never going to reach. They're never, and they also go as far as to think you're obstructing justice for pointing out facts that were determined in a court of law that have not been overturned. So,
do you know what I think is so hard though about the West Memphis 3 is that I don't think that there is another case that so uniformly, maybe Amanda Knox is close, but where the American press just supported the West Memphis 3, our mainstream press, so uniformly. I mean, they were on The View, they were on whatever, you know,
Piers Morgan, Tim Pool, just a lot of his supporters are around. This guy,
Rolling Stone multiple times, big love letter, pleases New York Times.
Yeah.
Right, New York Times, big love letter review of his book, big love letter stories to him. It never anything factual. The New Yorker, which is a big innocence fraud rag, same thing. They were released because of new DNA evidence. But did you see? Wait, hold on. I think I had this up. Let me just. I just sent this to myself, so I just wanted to pull it. Yeah, let me just pull it up. 1 second. But did you see that after? So last time we were discussing Dr. Drew, William, and now right after he was on Dr. Drew, this is from West Memphis 3 Facts on Facebook. Also great website. It's linked in this episode's description. We haven't seen, okay, so Damien's, oh wait, no, this is the wrong thing. But basically he says, sorry. He says that
that's the crash out, right?
Yeah, no, I saved it, but it's like on West. Hold on, let me go get it.
I tried to find it on the website. It's not on their website.
It's on Facebook. It's on the. Let me see if they'll let me log in without like a whole freaking now with this like whole double checking who you are. It just takes forever to even just get in, but hopefully they won't give me a hard time and give me like codes and craziness that they are going to give me codes. But if you go to West Memphis 3 Facts, basically Damien Echols is saying that he's not going to do any more interviews anymore. He's taking a break because he has too much trauma after Dr. Drew. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like Dr. Drew gave him the biggest softball interview in the world. But why do you think?
No real questions.
No, he just supported the. I mean, Echols was free to lie to him, you know, at will. So I don't know. I mean, why? What would? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just get this. Okay. Well. Okay. I don't know. Do they want me to put this in here? I don't know. I don't know what they're telling me to do.
Can you bring up the Exhibit 500 that's on there in the box underneath there?
Sure, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I want you to go through that while you're doing it. Guys, this is like the intro is really incredible because it just outlines everything, the chronology of treatment. So you see it going almost all for a full year before the crimes. So you see a referral based on this. Jerry Driver refers for terroristic threatening, sexual misconduct. He's discharged. He goes to charter, discharge, and then St. Vincent's about 3 months later in Oregon. Then he's discharged. Then he's referred back to charter, like literally within a week. Suck blood an inmate. Then he's getting these scheduled sessions, and they're all recorded about what he's doing. They're asking him questions. And then they're like, this is privileged and confidential work product. It's based upon the East Arkansas Regional Mental Health Center. You can see it right up there on top, and the dates. I mean, it's really low regard, true. Damien's counseling feels he's smarter than everybody else. Reports self-mutilation. He will trance out. So there are things in here where he's talking about dissociation, amnesia, and trances, which if you kind of do the mind control MK Ultra reading, these are really strange things where he's undergone probably so much trauma that it has changed his brain into dissociative states. And there's reflections in these intake documents and the doctor's documents where like there's no effect. He's just sitting there. He's harassed by local authorities in February 93. They think I'm a satanic leader. He has satanic items, but denies cult involvement. He has been interested in witchcraft for 8 years, guys. That means since he was 10. Okay. Mm-hmm. This isn't me. This is them. This is somebody. This is in these documents. And you can see the Bates number. Like that's how it got its name, Exhibit 500. This is document 7. This is on the very bottom, 000007. They are admitting, this is his defense, saying there's very damaging stuff, very damaging notes, very damaging. Speaks of rituals, drinking blood, more involved in demonology. Cannot remember early tantrums. So he's been practicing witchcraft for 8 years, but he has some kind of amnesia.
Right. And there's also these frequent references to this like purring like noise that he makes in the mental hospital with his mouth. And they're like, he just keeps making this weird purring noise. But he hasn't changed much. Oh, so here he was. So this is before he went on Dr. Drew. He says, hey, y'all, I've had quite a few people reach out to me. Let me see. About doing their podcast interviews, etc. And I want to say I very much appreciate the love, support, interest, but I'm going to step away from this sort of thing for a while. And then he was on Dr. Drew. This is before Dr. Drew. It's beginning to have a negative impact on my mental and emotional health. Confucius said that he's so wise, isn't he? Such a wise child killer. Confucius said those who dwell or live in the past are going to be depressed, and those who always live in the future are going to suffer anxiety. That only those in the present moment can find peace and contentment. Well, the present moment, you're a convicted triple child murderer. I know this is true from my own firsthand experience. Right now, I just need to get back to my practice in order to maintain myself. Speaking of practice, and I'm focusing my energy on several upcoming ways of, I'm sure he's doing something with his Satanism and trying to spread Satanism. So I thought that was like bizarre, always the victim. It's killing him to actually talk about.
So painful, like the whole
right. So painful.
Re-traumatization of his conviction.
Meanwhile, when he was on trial, he was sticking out the middle finger and arrested, sticking out the middle finger at the victim's parents, and basically laughing through the whole thing. And when he was on death, facing the death penalty. So even his own lawyers are like, this is awfully weird,
There's videos of him from the first documentary, Paradise Lost, where he's like, I don't know. He's like laughing and like, it's like not appropriate for the circumstances. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Can I bring in one of your amazing videos? Wait, hold on 1 second. And we'll get back to this, but here's just more of his lying. I mean, he lies so much. I can't even keep track of it. It's like decades of just lying and lying and lying. This is the cover of William Ramsey's book, Abomination, Devil Worship, and Deception in the West Memphis 3 Murders.
And then in August of 2011, after spending nearly 2 decades in Arkansas prisons, Damien Echols and 2 other men were suddenly released as part of a highly unusual plea deal.
Most people have nothing like that in their frame of reference, having to live every single moment of your life on guard, even while you're sleeping. You never go into a deep sleep. You always have to be ready for the next person that's going to try to hurt you.
He's in solitary confinement
Always
23
have
out
to
of
be ready
24 hours a day.
Right. And also, when you read his mental health records, he always had issues with sleep. Always had trouble sleeping his whole life. He slept like this. It's not like he just went to prison and had trouble sleeping. And death row is a walk in the park compared to the general population, compared to what Jason did. You know, you have your own TV, you're in solitary, you're protected. It's clean. It's like having a single, you know what I mean, in college, right?
This person that's going to try to hurt you.
So he follows with
When
a
I
statement.
interviewed Echols as part of a 48 hours report on the case, he was spending nearly 24 hours a day in solitary confinement.
You know, all I can think of is just like, look at him again. He's so pleased with himself. Like all this important stuff. I mean, have you been watching the Tyler Robinson preliminary? They're trying to present all the evidence, and Charlie Kirk's accused killer. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming, and the victim's family Charlie Kirk's family had to beg the judge to let them show the evidence in public. But he's in like an armored vehicle. Like it looks like, you know, basically being treated as this precious commodity, being, you know, driven to and from prison in this like way armored vehicle. Here, Damien Echols, you know, has to get his cuffs off, and he has all this. I mean, what a feeling of power. If you're into power and control, I mean, obviously he doesn't have control when his cuffs go off, but all this special stuff is being done because he's a dangerous, scary person, important person, right?
I mean, from somebody who came from nothing, he's had a lot of things happen. Like, I mean, I think that they're all like trailer park kids whose parents aren't around. So maybe this is them, how they made their mark.
He said, the people are going to remember me. I'm going to have an effect on the world. And, you know, unfortunately, it's, you know, come true. I mean, murder made him famous. And then, and powerful. And the power that he has. I mean, no one in our mainstream media is willing to talk about the case. The prosecutor's podcast, who covered the Hayman Lee's murder after Adnan Syed got out and didn't really even matter anymore, you know, and they didn't want to talk about the fraud that got him out at all, but just did a whole thing on those 3, concluding that they're innocent and there wasn't enough evidence to convince them.
Wow.
So
did they address the first person statements, the direct evidence that was related in court about the softball statement, and also seeing Echols? So they did. They just said
they went over the actual evidence. They have all these documents. You know, they took them from Callahan, I guess, or got them themselves. They're the ones who actually got. So I thanks to Rick from Burn After Reading, he enlightened me that the prosecutor's podcast got the 2011 DNA results from Freedom of Information Act, because they're both lawyers. Those, you know, aptly named prosecutors podcast, former prosecutors, I believe. And they got the DNA results. And
What
so
did they
big
say?
big nothing burger.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big nothing burger, and it's going to be another big nothing burger that they're going to, Lord knows what they're going to do with this. They're going to double down on a stepfather. It looks like looks like the direction they're going. To just double down on that because that's all they have. But so many people believe it to be true. But my point was like, don't you think that this is a hard case? Because if the mainstream media is so inaccurate about covering this, what else are they lying about? Like,
Right.
It really does kind of, this is the case that really opened up my eyes to like starting to look at other cases and making connections to the way that, they're finessing the Richard Glossop case in Oklahoma. That was a case I looked at right around this time. West Memphis 3, Adnan Syed, Amanda Knox, it goes on and on and on and on. I mean, I've covered like, I don't know how many innocence fraud cases on my channel. So it's like, it's not
Central
just
Park
this
5. It just
Central
goes
Park
on
5,
and on.
the Rosenbergs,
Making a Murder,
Sacco and Vanzetti. Oh God, what else? I mean, yeah, right. It goes Making a Murderer. Yeah, you could go on and on and on and on. Like it never gets tired. Americans love this story.
Yeah, it's like a cultural thing. It's something strange where they don't trust the government, they don't trust the court system, the process, and they're in for a better story. They're interested in a really good story than the facts, like the cool,
Right.
dispassionate hunt for truth. Because if you're like dispassionate and want to know the truth, you can read these documents. They're available. You just click on the Calais and AK link. It's not that hard.
Right. It's linked in the description of this episode if you guys want to read these yourself. Shall we continue on?
Yeah, we can. I mean, there's
here?
just this is
Yeah.
a 500-page document, guys. You can just go through it. I mean,
Okay.
it's just it's an incredible document.
It's like a 2-minute video, so I just wanted. We're halfway through. So
As part of a 48 hours report on the case, he was spending nearly 24 hours a day in solitary confinement.
he had to defend himself at any moment, and then he was dying, guys. He was dying. That's why we had to take the Alfred plea, because he was dying. The state was trying to kill him. That's another thing these anti-death penalty activists will say. The state was trying to kill him. First of all, like, that was his punishment. We do have the death penalty, but certainly it wasn't the way that Stevie, Michael, and Christopher were killed. I mean, he's given a way heads up on when his last minute on Earth is, and killed in the, and extinguished, gotten rid of in the nicest way possible. Hardly a analogy to the way that this crime was done. No? Did I just lose you?
Yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they always say that the state is trying to kill us, like as if it's like it's a second murder. No, it's not. It's hardly anything.
They went through a
not
penalty
the fears
phase,
of-
guys. They were convicted, and then they went through the penalty, and they affirmed it, and then they went through an appeal and affirmed that. You can read the appeal. Like, they affirmed everything from the lower court. I don't think they changed the thing, the upper court.
I believe that's the Strand bookstore downtown, and I believe that's just because he was living at Peter Jackson's at the time, and how had this big place, gave him his huge apartment downtown. But that's the Strand bookstore always has, like, I may be wrong, maybe another bookstore, but it just looks like they're red writing and the way that they do things. It kind of looks like that street, but
Followed when he left Arkansas for a new life in New York City.
It's just like this free-floating anxiety.
that's the Strand bookstore for sure.
I've been injected into this whole new world, and I'm having to learn everything.
Didn't it feel a little like a deal with the devil?
It was a deal with the devil, but it was also a
She's like the go-to reporter for innocence fraud.
Yeah, she's one of the
Erin Moriarty.
worst journalists in America.
Yeah, Lonnie Surrey. She also helped Ryan Ferguson, another case I've covered on this, another killer who got his conviction overturned.
Deal I really didn't have any choice but to take if I wanted to live. My health was going fast. I was dying in there. I knew if I didn't take that deal, I was never going to live to see outside those walls.
I also never forget that the West Memphis 3 had a PR agent, full-time PR agent called Lonnie Surrey, who I remember him calling out Erin Moriarty, that journalist we just mentioned, on Twitter and thanking her for all her good work. So when they want an innocence fraud, a narrative sewn together, she's their like go-to. So yeah, that's just like a little bit.
He seems to be in good shape now. He's got all his original teeth, it looks like. So his teeth were about to fall out, but I guess they through the use of magic and Reiki and whatever, they reattached or something, or maybe he got implants. I don't know.
Everybody was saying that also that he had to learn how to eat with a fork. He didn't know how to eat with utensils anymore. He was like, he had to learn the English language all over again, apparently. And that he was losing his sight. He was going blind because he didn't have any time outside.
His focus,
only an hour a day. Yeah, he had to wear his douche goggles all the time because he was losing his sight. And he was literally dying, and they had to take the deal right away because he was literally going to die there from bad eyesight and teeth.
He has a whole suite of like excuses and stuff. Like it's incredible.
So it also got very mad that we're laughing. But you have to laugh. You have to laugh at this ridiculous innocence fraud propaganda, because if you don't laugh, you will cry or go crazy. If you've covered as much of it as I have.
Yeah, it's been 15 years,
defense.
guys. Like I feel like we're just like beating a dead and flogging a horse or something. Like,
people are still interested, though. I mean, people are still telling me I'm a horrible person, that I will be so sorry when the DNA results come out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sleeping fine, not worried about these DNA results. And, you know, I think people are forgetting that I was a supporter. I got fooled by this big time, guys, big time, by all these documentaries. It wasn't until I heard Ed Opperman's podcast that I'd ever heard that they were guilty. I never knew anyone had that opinion in the entire world. So that'll tell you.
They're guilty at law, guys. There's no question about it.
What did we miss? Does anyone hate Burn after reading? Did we miss anything?
Well, there's 500 pages. I don't know if you want to go through all of the PDF or not.
More. I'm not busy. Anyone have anything more to say here? Let's go through it.
And you're just like, this is like, we're on page 9, guys. This is it. Jerry Driver, discharge. Here's Glory Shuttles again. Her whole affidavit, I think, is a huge tell.
Can you talk a little bit more about her affidavit? I thought it was pretty
she followed up like in 2000. She actually was you mentioned it at the intro, and she was the one who was spending a lot of time with Echols. And you can bring that up. It's just Glory Shields right there. Let's see.
Wait, hold on one second.
Glory. I can read it too, but it's like she's spending time, and then about 7 years later, she sent something to the court during like the whole appeals process, and it's an affidavit. She's saying, I served as an investigator of Damien Echols. My responsibilities included meeting with him on a weekly basis and attending some of the pretrial trial proceedings. Through my inexperience, prevented me from recognizing many of the symptoms of mental illness. I now understand the implications and relevance of the behaviors observed. And she's observed stuff. Number 4, Mr. Echols had dramatic mood swings from deep sobbing to laughing hysterically. This is like the Joker stuff. To laughing hysterically and giggling without any cause for the change. The switch from despair to mania was immediate and complete. It could occur several times during one meeting. Mr. Echols cried during almost every meeting, once collapsing onto my shoulders in utter despair that was beyond the legal situation. His depression had been with him a long time, and it affected everything he thought and did. He was so deeply sad that he felt hopeless and lost when it came to his case.
Really? Isn't that odd? Because he's always putting down his lawyers in this book, too. But, I mean...
He discussed suicide repeatedly and believed that he could overcome death because he was different from other people.
I mean, don't you think that's
he
kind of
believed he was an
though?
alien. and discussed it with his mother from the time when he was a small child of only 3 or 4. He thinks he's an alien. It was a concrete belief that he was from another world, another planet.
Whenever evidence was introduced that could have helped, this is on page 200, helped me, the jury was escorted out of the room so they wouldn't hear it.
Wow.
Isn't that unfortunate for him? And it was discovered that John Mark Byers, so they're still pushing John Mark Byers in this, the stepfather, one of the children, had a knife with a blood on it that matched the blood of at least one of the victims. No. My lawyers were not permitted to ask him directly, did you murder those children in the presence of the jury? Why? Because they were told he wasn't the one on trial here. I was. It wasn't really a trial, more like a formality to get out of the way before the guilty verdict. I mean, LOL.
Guys, you're dealing with somebody who's not well. He wasn't well for a while. I don't know if he's improved or anything, but back then,
but dangerously unwell, dangerous, violent, dangerous. There's like unwell, where you feel sorry, like a sad sack. That's sort of what he's trying to paint himself. Oh, I had some depression. I was like a sad sack. I was like a blue kid. This is like violent, wants to kill, has no trouble killing. Wants attention for his dark urges, is upset. I mean, goes from one dark subject to the next, obsessed with power and control, feels empty. I mean, he's correctly, he's not out of touch with himself. He correctly, identifies himself as a sociopath or psychopath or antisocial personality disorder, whatever you want to call it.
He did back then. That's for sure. There's absolutely no question.
Well, I think he knows what he is now. I mean, he knows what kind of person he is now. He knows that there's something wrong with him. He knows he's empty. He knows he doesn't have empathy. And he talks about, at one point, he talks about how that he believes that people are, and this is the whole inspiration for my channel, channel logo. He says he believes that people are wolves and sheep, and that wolves eat sheep, so that he identifies as a predator who dines out on the dumb, what would you call it? Dumb masses.
The herd,
right. That are all, cattle. I'm just looking, conforming is the word I was looking, conformist. And he's a nonconformist. But so, my logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing, because that's really what Echols, that's where I got that, fixation with that image. It's so many of these killers have that same kind of thing. They want to be a wolf, not a sheep. They want to be the person, and it gives them immense feeling of power and control to commit violence and to play God.
But it's interesting. The fixation on power control is because he doesn't have any power or control. I think that's really it. Like, he didn't grow up with money, access to education, stable family life. So it would make sense that somebody, at least in my opinion, that somebody would really want that, because they didn't have it. These guys grew up in a really terrible background. Like, you read their family lives, whether it's Miss Kelly Baldwin or Echols. It's really unfortunate stuff. Like, he told stories, I don't know if they're real or not, but like literally in a shack, growing up in a shack, and they're spraying like pesticides and like super poverty, like really, really bad stuff. Like, and then a trailer with his mom, like.
For sure. And then also that he started a fire in the hospital. So he was starting fires when he was at school. He's starting fires in the hospital. He cracked open, talks about how he, I think he did it with like wet toilet paper. Don't ask me how.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that he
remember that?
Started a fire in a trash can at school, like in the back.
Yeah.
Constantly trouble and stuff.
I mean, these are all the textbook signs of someone who's going to be violent. And William Ramsey and I were discussing the one medication that he's on is impuramine. It's also described in the files as tofranol. It's the same medication. And that is also often given to kids who bedwet. So I've often wondered if he was a bedwetter, but it's to take that same medication at night at 50 milligrams. And then once he goes to the mental hospital, they up it to 150 milligrams. So it's like an old school antidepressant. So
yeah,
that would be, these are all the signs of children who would be like flat red flags for a violent psychopath, hurting animals, starting fires. Another one is bedwetting. Those are some of them. I don't know if he was a bedwetter, but he's on a drug that certainly was given to children who were bedwetters.
Right. Yeah. It's an incredible record, and it's completely contradicts like a lot of these public statements that they're making, and the media is propagating. There's just no question about it. Like, it's incredible. It really is.
Yep.
But you can read about it in my book. My book was published 15 years ago. I think it stands the test of time because I address a lot of the recurrent, persisting complaints against so many things in the West Memphis 3. Like, I really tried to address them all. Questions, concerns, all that stuff. So Abomination has it. And like, you played those videos. I have probably 40 of those type of videos about the West Memphis 3 on my social media on Twitter. You can just scroll through it. Type in West Memphis 3 in the search bar on my feed, and you can just watch them. It's like a full documentary that contradicts their stories. So.
I mean, if we, I like them because they're just a reminder of the past lies, because, these killers seem to get power or get at least enthusiasm for their new lies from these innocence fraud campaigns. And they always are coming up with new lies or honing their old lies. So it's really hard. I think what these killers like to do so much is mix it all up. So it's really hard to discern what he's talking about with Exhibit 500. So they put it way at the end of the book when it should come way before, like right at the trial, right after the verdict to the sentencing. But instead he puts it like after he's met Lori Davis, and that it's something that Lori Davis did to help him get out of prison. And Lori Davis, became such a strong advocate from that experience with Exhibit 500 when she wasn't even in the picture in 1994.
When did she show up?
I
don't even
after
know.
The documentaries.
Yeah, it's after the documentary.
After she saw the documentary. So she was not on the scene, but he's mixing up time. He's playing with time. He's rightfully saying that it happened during the sentencing phase, but he said after the verdict, meaning like he's putting it in the terms of like a innocence fraud campaign, which usually don't happen until about like 14 years after a conviction. So he's putting it in that time frame, not like right after the conviction. And those are all his records. It's not like one woman came in and interviewed him and came up with, because there are crazy mental health professionals, especially in the psychology field. They're happy to give other names to they really seem to like not even acknowledge antisocial personality disorder anymore. And they seem to be giving it sorts of all new names like on the spectrum, bipolar, post-traumatic stress disorder. Those are the new words for antisocial personality disorder, because you can't be helped if you're a psychopath. There's no cure for it. So there's no money for the psychology and psychiatry. And it also goes against the idea that these are all just sort of like hurt people and they just need to be loved well. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I think they don't really like this diagnosis anymore. And we're getting all these alternative, like odd diagnoses for people who seem to me to have obviously antisocial personality disorder.
Yeah, I think they're degrading the DSM. So like a lot of stuff that was seen as crazy is not crazy anymore, like transgenders or dysmorphia, there's solutions and things like that instead of psychological solutions. Let's trans that person. Let's do it.
Oh, very scary, right? Very scary. And it was very hard I'm still losing friends over that issue, you know?
Why? It used to be considered mental illness, guys. Like body dysmorphia.
No, people think I think that people especially men, like to give away, women's consent very easily. And I think it's also, I have other women saying, well, I wouldn't mind if men use my bathroom. I wouldn't mind. I was like, but you're assuming that, that you can tell whether, a man's going to be violent or well-behaved or whatever. You're consenting for all women. You can't do that. It's not the way the law works. You know what I mean?
There have been these cultural rules for thousands of years and they're upending them. So it's like a transvaluation of all values in a lot of ways. So it's
by the way,
very
just
subversive, very socially subversive.
So, I think it concluded with me going to this event in downtown New York, which was like a Let Women Speak event. And it got shut down by Antifa before it even happened. I don't know if I've ever told you I was at that rally.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Antifa got arrested. It was like, they wouldn't let any of the women. It was like right on the sidewalk in a public place, but they basically let Antifa close the whole thing down. Anyway, the ACLU just put out so the ACLU is very involved in innocence fraud. They're the ones who facilitated the money from the Open Society, George Soros' foundation that funded all those pro-criminal prosecutors. And they have a new video out showing violent protesters, essentially, they call it just protesters, how not to get caught while they're out doing actions, meaning breaking the law. But when I was at that protest for women's, for men out of women's spaces and everything, one man followed me and spit on me and harassed me.
Geez, wow.
Yeah, there was all sorts of Antifa tries to deafen you. They have these bullhorns and they scream like Nazi go home in your ear with their bullhorns and, try to intimidate you. It was like, they're a scary bunch when you come up with
there's a lot of violence. A lot of violence
right.
From the left. A lot of violence, a lot of dead people, a lot of people shot. There's a lot more than you think.
So the ACLU is just letting them know, you shouldn't be out protesting with your phone on, giving your location and stop filming yourself breaking the law, basically.
Right. I'm not surprised.
Anything else that we forgot on this? Yeah.
There's 500 pages, guys. You can read it all on Callahan 8K. It's really incredible.
Yeah. You think his dad leaving set him off? Could be. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I think he just had a very troubled childhood, and a lot of he was disappointed with his dad, according to what I read. So, I don't know, for what it's worth.
Well, I'll leave you on this. I think I believe Damien Echols when he says that made whoever did this crime, it made them happy. I think it made him happy. I think this is killing people is something he always wanted to do. And I think he wanted to be famous from a vicious, horrible murder. But the worst offenses, they were all horrible, but a lot of the worst things were done by Jason Baldwin, who has the okey doke, Southern hick kind of persona, like the Honest Abe Southern hick persona down. He's pretty good at lying, in my opinion.
Yeah, he kind of has that "oh my gosh, golly gee" type kind of thing. That's his kind of take on things. Is my
we
take.
Told the truth and nothing but the truth. We're innocent, he's always so earnest and outraged. I mean, I fell for it. That's all I say. I got duped. I hope nobody else has to get duped. I've worked very hard. We're going to wait until a couple weeks. He's stupid DNA, totally inconsequential DNA results are coming out. Let's see how they spin it. William Ramsey, where can people find you?
William Ramsey Investigates podcast, 5 books on Amazon. You can get Abomination on Amazon. And like I said, a lot of those videos are on my YouTube channels, which I got back about a year ago. So you can kind of scroll through some of the older, I mean, they're 10 years old, 15 years old almost. So you can see those there. And then thanks for having me. Glad to be with you.
Oh, it's always such a pleasure to do these episodes with you. Maybe we'll be doing them again in 10 years.
Who knows? It seems like it never ends. I mean, God, it just never ends. We'll see what happens. We'll reach out to me once these DNA tests return, and we'll go from there.
All right. We'll talk then. All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Mic check, Roberta strides through the static haze. True crime Gotham where the shadows play their plays. Fraudsters fold when a spotlight beams. Fact-focused queen busting propaganda schemes. Glass shatter lies echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC pulse, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing, she's the anti-fraud light. Hard cash warrior, dissecting state and defense. Twisted innocence, claims breaking pretense. Gotham's truth seeker cuts clean with the blade. Facts in the forefront, no justice gets swayed. Cold facts drip heavy, real talk unfurls. Cracking cases open like oysters with pearls. Innocence gimmicks crumble to dust in the wind. For victims, her creed, justice till the end. Headphones blazing, she drops heavy artillery. Narratives twisted, meet blunt object civility. Roberta got receipts that unravel the ploy. Exposing the lies these fraudsters deploy. Glass shatters lies, echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC pulse, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing, she's the anti-fraud light.